We're back here on Southeastern 16. Chase Robinson here, Jay Greeson alongside. We continue our team previews of SEC football. And today we land on the Oklahoma Sooners, Jay. This is a big year for Oklahoma and Brent Venables. Big year as far as talent, too, because they have done some work in the offseason, brought some guys in who I think will fit in nicely with what they're trying to do on both sides of the ball. But still monster year especially after the year they had last year. So much went wrong for Oklahoma last year, whether it was injuries and the offensive line really from week one, there was injuries all over the place. There was a week where most of the wide receivers were out. Like it was just injury after injury. And it felt like they were just kind of behind the eight ball all last year.
I think that's completely fair, but in the world of coordinators getting seven-figure salaries and head coaches leading billion-dollar operations, the entire cry from Norman, Oklahoma was, cry me a river, Brent Venables. And I know you won 10 games in 2023, but what happened last year is not going to do. And amazingly, Brent Venables sits third in terms of Vegas's eyes in the hottest coach seat in the country. In terms of the odds on Brent Venables are the third shortest to be the first coach fired this fall. But his odds are also third among coaches named Brent, because Brent, who's his pants at Arizona, is number one, Brent Pry at Virginia Tech's two, and then Brent Venables. Tough year to be Brent.
Yeah. You do not want to be named Brent as a college football coach this year.
I think I made sure he should have showed up at SEC Media Days and went, I'm going by my given name. I'm Jerome Venables now. So let's go ahead and change that up.
So Oklahoma this year, the kind of the big offseason news, of course, Jackson Arnold transferred out, but Oklahoma went out and got John Mateer from Washington State. Ben Arbuckle now coming down as the OC. They worked together at Washington State. That was a big get, I thought, when Oklahoma and there's some other transfers we'll talk about offensively, but for them to go out and get John Mateer, I thought that was a big pickup.
It's a huge get. Led the nation in total touchdowns a year ago with 44. Loved his swagger at SEC Media Days. Did every show, handled every question, got great hair. I mean, all right, dude's going to see more tail than a rental car in Norman, Oklahoma, brother. You can't be QB1 for the Sooners with that kind of demeanor and not just be yes sir. But I think one of the big sneaky advantages of bringing his OC and the OC bringing his quarterback is he already knows everything the OC wants. It's going to make the adjustment period that much more easy and that much more quick. Because if there are kids with questions in the huddle, they don't have to stop practice. Mateer can answer them right there. And so it becomes layered quickly. There's a lot of upside to that. And I know you mentioned it, but I think those are only newcomers 2 and 3 in level of importance. Because look, I know Mateer is getting a whole lot of buzz and a whole lot of chatter, and I think he's potentially poised to have a huge year. And I think Jayden Ott's the best incoming newcomer they have. Yeah. I mean, Jayden Ott, healthy 2 years ago, was on the short list of the best running backs in the country when he was running up and down the field for Cal. And if that offense is healthy, look, man, and I know we're going to break it down. I know we're going to go position group by position group, but I'll start my Oklahoma analysis with this. I think the two biggest swing teams in this league in that can finish 10 or finish 2 are Florida and Oklahoma.
No, I agree with that. I think this is a very interesting team. And you bring up Jayden Ott. That's where I wanted to go next. He had close to 3,500 all-purpose yards over his 3 seasons with Cal, and you mentioned him healthy a couple of years ago. I mean, he was great, and so I think he's going to be a big piece, because last year it felt like Oklahoma just they couldn't find the run game. It was not very consistent, and if they are able to get Jayden Ott going, that changes the offense for Oklahoma.
Well, as an Auburn graduate, the duality of the truth about Oklahoma's running struggles, your offensive line's beat to hell. You don't have a quarterback you trust. Your wide receivers look like Hawkeye Pierce and Trapper John McIntyre at the MASH 4077 are walking up and down the football building. So when defenses at this level and in this league can go 7-8 in the box, you're not going to run the ball at all. I don't care if you've got Bo Jackson, Darren McFadden, and Herschel Walker running the wishbone, because the athletes are so big, strong. If they're not at least threatened by your verticality, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, that's very true. Wide receivers this year for the offense. Deion Burks back this year. He was a guy. There was a lot of expectation on Burks last year. If we get a healthy Deion Burks, that could definitely boost the offense. You've got Jaden Gibson back there as well. Giovanni Gibson as well. Like receiving wise, this is also a big year with John Mateer, like we said, coming in. I feel like Deion Burks is got to step up and have a big year for Oklahoma.
Well, Deion Burks, absolutely. The wide receiver room, I imagine they wore name tags in spring practice, because it's littered with transfers too. And that's what happens. Last year, in 2023, Oklahoma averaged more than 500 yards and 42 points per game. Last year, those numbers dipped to 330 yards and 24 points per game. And that's the lowest this century, or hell, this millennium. It was the worst Oklahoma offense since 1998. So at least in those statistical categories, whether it's Burks, whether it's Ott, whether it's the plethora of dudes, both Gibsons, and any name on the transfer portal that you may or may want to find. I mean, I think Brent Venables understands what's at stake here in terms of his time in Norman is contingent on going 8 or more wins at the very least. And I mean, look, Chase, you and I have done a handful of previews, and you and I are on the same page with the thought process of it's one thing for you to find your footing, get a feel for a program. But if you are limping along while your fan base's biggest rival is sprinting to the playoff every year, which is what is happening in Austin, Texas, then it doubly intensifies the spotlight of every result for the Sooners and the Sooner Nation.
Yeah, that's a really good point there, Jay. Offensive line last year mentioned was a struggle. I mean, you had injury after injury, just trying to get pieces in places. They allowed 50 sacks, tied most of the FBS. That's a problem you got to address. They have tried to address it. They went out 3 transfers, or several transfers. A couple of them we could see some significant playing time. 4 guys back though, that I think will be in starting roles. So to get some guys healthy, get some continuity there on the offensive line, I think that'll do wonders up front for Oklahoma.
And they're going to start 4 seniors, at least the early depth chart I've seen. They started 2024, and the offensive line had 0 returning starters. Now they have 4, which brings me to my traditional Louis Grizzard Vandy joke, as he used to say about Vandy. The good news is they have 22 returning starters. The bad news is they were 22 Vandy returning starters. But the continuity is a big thing, especially learning a new system. But I will say this, as we kind of put a bow around this group, the dip from 23 to 24 was eye-popping and a quarter century bad for Oklahoma. But none other than Phil Steele himself wrote, this Oklahoma team should be the most improved offense in the country. Didn't say one of, didn't say likely, didn't say possibly. This should be the most improved offense in the country.
Wow. That's strong. That's
strong
wording
and
there.
Hey, Phil Steele ain't scratching lottery tickets and pulling things out of a Ouija board, man. That guy, it's got to be tough to be Mrs. Phil Steele because he goes from like March 1 till now, and he's in the dungeon. Can't you just see the hoarder basement that he's got with files and handwritten Post-it notes and just stuff everywhere?
You may not be able to read that stuff.
No, because it's all in hand scribbled shorthand of number 1 PPR of class of 24. And I mean, no, he's got his own language, man. Yeah. But hey, the one thing you never say about Phil Steele is it's not researched, because that dude goes the extra mile in terms of prep work.
Yeah, you're right. And for him to say that about Oklahoma, I mean, you're right. Does say a lot. Let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball. This side was hit hard, whether graduation, whether the transfer portal. There's some key losses on that side of the ball. They're going to have to move some guys around. They only got a couple of transfers on the defensive side, so a lot of guys that were part of the team last year will be stepping into new roles, having to shift things around. This is Brent Venables' side of the ball. We've seen him run some really good defenses, and he has a chance, I feel like, to really put his fingerprint on this defense and get it how he likes it if they want to win games.
Well, and I think that's along the lines of what happens to elevated coordinators when their seat gets hot. They then say, okay, I'm taking over the side of the ball that allowed me to become a head coach. And Brent Venables is doing that. And I think it's pretty telling. If you look at the number of portal people he brought in to try to redirect that offense, knowing the stakes for Brent Venables, not only him calling the defense, but Brent Venables and all of the changes they have made in the hierarchy, bringing in the guy who used to lead the Senior Bowl in Mobile as a GM. I mean, all of the overall changes they've made as a program, franchise, and institution, that he did not dive neck deep into the portal for a bunch of defensive pickups and replacements, means he's got to have some confidence in the dudes he's got coming back, even if they don't have 8 returning starters.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that does say a lot. And looking at some of these guys, defensive end, R. Mason Thomas is a guy to watch this year. Last year had 9 sacks, 12.5 for loss, 11 quarterback hurries, was second team All-SEC. Corner Eli Bowen, All-American honors. Robert Spears Jenkins is a guy that just hearing about him from spring brings a lot of physicalness to this team. So those are just a few guys, but I think to have Thomas back there on the edge is going to be big up front.
Is Chase your first name or your middle name?
That's my first name.
Okay, what's your middle name?
Allen.
See, I think we should go C. Allen Robinson, because you put that initial up front, man. You just sound like a badder dude. Hey, this is my buddy C. Allen Robinson. I mean, who's going to argue with that? And you're right. True. Thomas is a dude, man. And I like when defense it's overdone now that defensive linemen were in the single digit, but I like a good 32 on the defensive line. Auburn had a big fat body last year that wore 22, and I thought that was great. And if they were really being honest with themselves, Kentucky should have moved Jared Lorenzen down to D tackle when he was wearing the hefty lefty was wearing 22 in Lexington. Look, I think Venables is comfortable on that side of the ball. Does it mean they're going to be great? I don't know. But all of the swing questions are, does Arbuckle, Mateer, and the newcomers gel quickly enough, considering you got Michigan week 2, and then you've got the SEC hot seat bowl in week 4 when Auburn comes to Norman.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a big year, like we mentioned, for Oklahoma, and talent on the field. Let's see if they can turn it into wins. That's going to be big for Brent Venables in Oklahoma this year. We'll have you covered on the Sooners all season long. Got to tell you first, before we get out of here, about our friends at Game Time Sidekicks.
Well, I spent all weekend at downtown Chattanooga at a softball tournament, and my Game Time Sidekick Cup was the only one that kept ice because it was 9 gabillion degrees. I mean, Ray Bradbury, who wrote Fahrenheit 451, if he'd have walked into the ballpark, he'd have went, damn, it's hot. So it was, but hey, without this trusty beast, I'd have looked like somebody Sally Struthers was going to try to hand a sandwich to. I'd have lost so much body weight. But hey, man, you're going to win your tailgate with a Game Time Sidekick Cup. I used to go a little dark liquor in there. I had to change that up. But trust me when I tell you, look, they don't pay us enough to tell you stories. I'm just telling you, it's a kick-ass cup.
Yeah. And hey, ice retention, that's a big thing, especially when it's hot. Game Time Sidekicks got you covered there. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, if you're a fan of any other team, they've got officially licensed stainless steel drinkware for you. All the SEC schools on there, plus over 350 more universities, tons of designs and logos for every school. They got the college vault line. So go on to GameTimeSidekicks.com for a 20% discount for you, the viewers. That's a lot, 20%. Use promo code SC16 for that 20% discount there. GameTimeSidekicks.com. So that's appreciate Game Time Sidekicks as always for being a part of our programming here. ROKFORM, another one of our friends there who brings you our content. ROKFORM.com, ROK, world's strongest magnetic phone case. We appreciate them for partnering with us as well. We will talk to you next time for more SEC football talk right here on Southeastern 16. Subscribe, like this video, drop a comment, let us know what you think about Oklahoma heading into 2025, and we will see you again soon.